Hi guys, I've been really lax lately with regard to the vlog. Alan has been going at me for more than a week now for me to talk about the books that I've been reading so far this year. And I decided to take it upon myself this evening to do just that. So if you were looking for one of Alan's crazy madcap daily vlogs, this isn't it. I have finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books so far this year, and I'm working on a 9th at the moment. So without further ado, this is everything that I read or listened to this month. The first book that I finished this year was Becoming by Michelle Obama. I started listening to the audiobook probably just before Christmas, if I think about it. The book is obviously about Michelle Obama, First Lady, as was. I don't know if you still are the First Lady after your husband is no longer president. Are you still the First Lady? Is that a thing? I'm not sure, sorry. Americans, if you know the answer, let me know in the comments. So I did this one on audiobook. I'm not a massive fan of memoirs. As a rule, I find them really dry and really quite boring. So I thought, well, if I listen to it, it's read by Michelle Obama herself. It covers her life from when she was born right up until when the Obamas left the White House. And I have to say, you guys, I loved it. I loved every minute of listening to it. It's going to sound really creepy and slightly weird, but I genuinely felt like I was listening to a friend telling me a story, because Michelle Obama is a very well-known figure. We all know her name. We know what her voice sounds like. And it was just absolutely fascinating. She's such an amazing woman, amazing family in all truthfulness. So if you get the chance, I would definitely pick it up. The audiobook was immense. The second book I finished is actually more of a novella. It's Elevation by Stephen King. I was lent this by a work colleague, and she said, give it a read. It's really good. It's really short. You'll find it no problem. I think it was about 120 something pages, something like that. And it won a Goodreads Choice Award. So I'm like, hey, it can't be that bad, right? And I went into it thinking Stephen King, you know. I read a lot of Stephen King as a teenager, Needful Things, The Shining, It, that sort of thing. So I was expecting horror, and I didn't get any of that. And I think that really kind of threw me off. It was a short read. I can guarantee that it took me a little over 2 hours from start to finish. One day when I had the day off, it was fine. I sat down, I read it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. I probably wouldn't read it again. It follows a main character who is slowly losing weight and he doesn't know why. Kind of sounds a bit like Thinner. I can hear you cry, Stephen King fans, but no. But it was good. It was short. Give it a look. You might like it more than I did. I don't know. The next audiobook I finished was Wrecking Crew, Demolishing the Case Against Stephen Avery by John Ferak. This is all about Stephen Avery and his case for his appeal to get him out of prison. Anybody who's seen Making a Murderer or the first and second season will know exactly who I'm talking about. On the record, I don't know one way or another if he is innocent, if he is guilty. The book was really interesting. It delved into the case that Catherine Zellner is putting together to try and get his conviction overturned. And a lot of it was stuff that I'd already watched, because I've watched season 2 of Making a Murderer already. But all in all, it was a fairly decent read. It was a bit dry in parts. It was all right. I gave it 4 stars. We also listened to The 13 Problems by Agatha Christie. We started that when we went to Sheffield for our friend's wedding in between Christmas and New Year, and we finished it off in the new year, so it counts for 2019. Listened to it before, love Agatha Christie. It's a Marple book rather than a Poirot one. And what it does is it's based around a group of like-minded people getting together to try and solve crimes from the safety of their living room. Each member has to pose a problem that they know the solution to, tell the story, and then the other people have to guess who it was based on the facts that they're given. Really decent read. Love the audiobooks, love the actual books as well. You can probably see just behind me, just over my left shoulder, I have a good selection of Agatha Christie. Some I've read, some I haven't, some I've listened to, some I haven't done either. Really like Agatha Christie. I gave it 4 stars. And another audiobook I finished this year so far is Cheer Up Love, Adventures in Depression with the Crab of Hate by Susan Calman. Now, for those of you who don't know Susan Calman, she is a Scottish comedian and she is funny like nothing on earth. I find her so amazingly funny. And her book is all about her depression and the depression that she calls the crab of hate. The crab of hate is the voice in her head telling her that she's not good enough, or that she's not funny, or she's... Anybody who's suffered with mental health issues will know the voice. Most people have a voice, whether you have depression or not. It's just that when you have a mental health issue, the voice gets nasty. Some points were quite poignant. Some of them were laugh out loud funny. They did this thing where they played citalopram bingo, where you have to shout bingo every time you have a symptom you recognise, and I did. I laughed so hard at points in this book because so much of it I recognised as part of my own struggle with my own mental health. I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I couldn't recommend it highly enough to anyone who has an interest in mental health or has a mental health issue and wants to have a good laugh about it. I don't know if that's something that people would particularly like. Personally, I find it quite cathartic. One of the books I read for the Pop Sugar Challenge that I finished this month is the prompt for a reread of a favourite book, and I picked A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness purely because I recently treated myself to the hardback editions of A Discovery of Witches, A Shadow of Night, and Book of Life to go with my new hardbound edition of Time's Convert, which I have yet to read because I want to read the series first, again, for the 4th time. I love this book. If you've seen the TV series, it's kind of the same. If you haven't seen the TV series and you're not a fan of reading the books, then by all means certainly watch it. Alan really enjoyed the TV series as a standalone, having no idea what the book was about. But I do. I love the books and I thoroughly enjoyed reading it, especially my new hardback edition because the illustrations in it are really nice. I also finished The Axemen's Jazz by Ray Celestine, which is based on a true story of a serial killer in New Orleans in the 1910s who goes around putting axes through people's skulls. So yeah, that was the thing. It was a very good book. It was a bit slow in parts. It was a bit frustrating in parts. If it hadn't been for the Pop Sugar Challenge, it was for the prompt, a book based on a true story, I probably would have DNF'd it about 2/3 of the way through because I was getting a bit kind of, when will this book end? But I'm glad I stuck with it because the ending was really good and I really liked the way that it was wrapped up. And yeah, it follows the main character who isn't the serial killer. It is the policeman trying to hunt down the killer and his trials and tribulations, and his backstory is really fascinating. And yeah, I think I gave that one 4 stars, possibly 3 stars. I can't quite remember, but it was really good-ish. And the last book that I finished for January was Warcross by Marie Lu. Now, I got about 120 pages into this book without putting it down, without stopping, to barely draw breath. And I have been kicking myself. Why, oh why, did I wait so long to pick this book up? It is amazing. If you've seen or read Ready Player One, it's very much variation on the theme of that story in a roundabout sort of way. But I absolutely loved it. I loved the main character. I loved the backstory. I loved the unbelievable twist at the end that I really didn't see coming. Absolutely adored it. Can't wait to start Wildcard, which I also have. Warcross I read as for the prompt, a book based on a puzzle or a game, because the whole book is based on the premise of this virtual reality game called Warcross. And yeah, so I read it for that. And Wildcard I'm reading as a lit RPG, because it's a role-playing game, because you're literally playing a role of yourself, I suppose. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to it. Can't wait to start it. Start Wildcard. And Warcross I gave 5 out of 5. And yeah, read it. If you haven't read it, if you've been thinking about reading it, if you've seen it and thought, I think that might be quite good, pick it up, read it. You will not be disappointed. The book I'm currently reading at the moment is actually a recommendation from my best friend Amy. It is The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. It's set in the 1800s. It follows a widow who has moved into this creepy country house and finds these silent companions, which were they're wooden dummy type things, but kind of like life size, and they're like 3-dimensional rather than being sort of like a painting. And yeah, I'm really struggling with it, in all honesty, at the moment. I'm sort of forcing myself through it, and I hate doing that with books. I would rather read books that I love. But I'm determined to get to the end because I want to see how it all ends. And I've got a horrible, horrible feeling that it's going to end with the whole place being on fire, or by her being hung or something. I can't quite figure it out yet. But the one thing that's really annoying me about the book, and annoys me about all books of this type, is the jumping. It jumps from time stream to time stream to time stream. So it jumps from her as a young widow in 1832, and then it jumps back to the 1600s and the story of how the Silent Companions came to be in the house in the first place, based on the ancestors of her husband, who is now dead. And then it jumps forwards into the future, where she's in this insane asylum, and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And oh my God, I am struggling so hard to keep everything straight, because yeah, and I don't like it. It's awful, I'll admit it. I am a person who does not like these kinds of books that jump from place to place and time to time. I don't mind so much when it's two people side by side in the same time zone, like if one is in London and the other is in Paris, for example, and it jumps from London to Paris to London to Paris. That would be fine, because it would merge in the end. But in this case, they can't merge, because it's over a period of like 200 and odd years. It's not going to happen unless there's some sort of ghost development that hasn't happened yet. I'm about 180 pages in. I think I've got another 180 to go, something like that. I will get it finished, and then it will be on to my last of my TBR for January, which is Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie, which I'm reading for the Pop Sugar prompt, a book being made into a film in 2019, and it is, so it gave me a opportunity to clear some of the backlog of the Agatha Christie books that I have and have not read yet. So there you have it, guys. There's the reading update from me. If this is something that you guys have enjoyed, let me know down below in the comments. I can do it every month, do a roundup. I don't know, do it every week maybe, then it won't be so long. and I won't forget what the books are about because I read so quickly and then I forget, which is why rereading is so awesome, because I very rarely remember what the books are about. So yeah, if you like it, let us know. If you didn't like it, let us know that too. I would rather know, and we can move it somewhere else or stop or whatever. So yeah, moving on.